If you're looking for a podcast that packs in sound property advice, as well as offering you an insight into making the world of property effective and ultimately work for you, you're in the right place. Hosted by Arsh, the original property rebel. He's written an Amazon bestseller, created the Property Investor app, the UK's first, and is an experienced property mentor. More importantly, he talks the talk and walks the walk.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of The Property Rebel with your host, Arsh. And in today's session, we're going to be talking about the things that you should be doing specifically this week of this year, which is hopefully going to help you in good stead for the forthcoming years. Before we do that, as always, I want to say a quick hello and thank you to all new subscribers and existing subscribers. I can see that every week our reach is getting further and further, and I really hope that you're taking away some golden nuggets from these podcasts. So it's fair to say that 2020 has been an interesting year, shall we say. It's had its good, it started off really strong, and I'm talking that from a personal perspective. It came out the blocks as being a really good year, really strong year, and I thought we were going to break all records this year. Little did we know that in March and April, were we going to get hit with the pandemic of COVID, because let's face it, we started to hear the rumours about this towards the tail end of 2019, that other countries around the world had a slight issue with this little flu, shall we call it, called Corona. And we thought, no, it's not going to affect the UK. No, it's not going to get over here. We've heard things like this before. Little did we know it came and hit us with a vengeance. And it hit the whole world and has taken the whole world for a bit of a ride. And it's wiped out 2020 for many businesses. In actual fact, it's actually been the end of their business. So Corona really has caused some damage for a lot of businesses. Now, so as a result, it's taught us a lot of things. It's taught us, in my previous episodes, I've talked about how it's allowed me to systemize my business. And, I'll be the first to say that we've not hit any targets that I set myself at the start of the year. And believe it or not, that's okay. As I've said in previous episodes, this year for me was about treading water. Make sure that we're still here to tell the tale in 2021, and it has been a scary year. I'll be the first one to put my hands up and say there were certain times where I was a little bit worried, because when the scaremongery comes out, are the tenants going to be able to pay their rents? If they're not going to be able to pay their rents, how are we going to be able to afford our outgoings and little things like that? But I believe every property investor had that fear. Now, as you're listening to this, we're what I would consider the penultimate week before we hit Christmas of 2020. And Christmas is definitely a period where everyone's looking forward to, where we can spend some time with our families and we can just kind of unwind from the year. But this is quite an important week for you to unwind your business for the year. So what I always do in this week, the penultimate week, is I touch base with what I would consider all my tradespeople, all my power team, and pretty much everyone that has helped me in my property journey over the years that I still continue to do business with. So this, if I was to put it in a list, is my solicitors, my accountants, my tax advisors, my mortgage brokers, my builders, my electricians, my plumbers, as well as my creditors, so people that I've got credit accounts with. So I've got electrical wholesalers, I've got plumbing wholesalers, as well as all the other people that I use throughout the year. And this is pretty much my way of saying thank you. Thank you for assisting me with my property journey, and the reason why this year is probably most important than ever, because in March, literally within the first week of lockdown, I got a call at 2 o'clock in the morning, and I got a call and it's a withheld number. And you know that if you get a call from a withheld number at 2 o'clock in the morning, it only means one thing. It means trouble. It can either be the police, it can be the fire brigade, it can be a tenant saying that there's been an issue. And I really dread those calls. So I did get a call. It was from a withheld number, and it said, Mr. Ilahi, and I go, yeah, and as naturally I'm half asleep at this point. And they said, we need you to come to the property. And I said, okay, what's happened? They go, there's been a fire. And instantly everyone panics. I panic. I said, oh, okay, what's happened? And it was in a HMO. And tenant fell asleep and left a pan on the cooker. And as a result, it burnt out the whole of his room. Naturally, the fire brigade go in and they make sure that everything's secure, and they cause a fair bit of damage. Now, I'm quite grateful with the fact that the fire alarm did what it's intended to do. It alerted all the tenants to get out the building, so no one was harmed, and I was extremely grateful for that. But the fire alarm, the fire brigade did say to me that we're going to have to rehouse all the other tenants, especially for the next few nights, whilst the building was allowed to breathe again, because it was quite badly smoke damaged. And as a result of that, first of all, I was quite grateful that I had other properties that I could put people in. Second of all, the fire brigade said that we need to get this building back up and running and secure within 24 hours. Now, when we meant secure, the windows needed to be boarded up. We needed to get the fire alarm back active because majority of it was burnt out. And I thought, well, okay, we're in lockdown. No one's working. Nowhere is open. So I needed access to electrical wholesaler. They were not open. I needed access to electricians. I needed access to plumbers and builders, and no one was open. And I thought, okay, and I spoke to a fire officer. He goes, I appreciate you're in a difficult predicament, but we need to do something. Otherwise, we're going to condemn the house. So the next morning, 8 o'clock, believe it or not, I called my builder. So the builder has been working with me for 20 years. And he goes, Arsh, what's up? And I told him the scenario. He goes, what do you want me to do? And within an hour, he was at the property. Now, naturally, social distancing and all that, just in case we've got any social distancing police listening. So he started working on there, and then I called my electrician. Who, again, has probably been working with me about 15 years. And I told him the scenario. He goes, Arsh, what do you want me to do? I said, I need to get this fire alarm active. One of my biggest issues here was that none of the places, I didn't have a spare fire alarm panel. And so I had to start, I know the owner of the electrical wholesalers. And again, I've been using these guys for 20 odd years. Never ever have I missed a payment with these guys. I've got a really good relationship with the electrical wholesalers, and I called the owner. His name's Ant. Doubt he'll be listening to this, but I called him. I said, Ant, I've got a real big problem. Had a bit of an issue, got a fire. The fire alarm panel's been completely burnt out. The fire officers said to me, I need to get this up and running within 24 hours. Can you do something for me? He goes, well, Arsh, he goes, we're shut. We're not allowed to open. I said, but Ant, can you just literally open up and get me a fire alarm panel, come and drop it off, completely social distances, up my house, just on the steps, put it on the account, charge me a little bit extra for your time. And I'll go, here's a list of materials that I think I'm going to need. I over-ordered just to make sure that it doesn't need to go back out. And he goes, Arsh, he goes, for this circumstance, I appreciate that you don't ask for stuff like this every day. I appreciate that you've got a difficult position. And he did it for me. Within the space of 2 hours that morning, I had my builder on site, I had my electrician on site. I had all my electrical materials. And you know what? I was actually almost like taken back from the generosity and all the kindness of the builders, the electricians, and also my suppliers who I'd been dealing with for the years. And it kind of made me feel grateful, the fact that I've got such good people surrounding me, and they were willing to come to me in my hour of need. So it is obviously in this week that I actually get to reward them and say, guys, thank you for your support in 2020. So you can do little gestures, and believe it or not, these little gestures will go such a long way with you. So it could be a bottle of wine, it could be a bottle of champagne, it could be a box of chocolates, it could just be a Christmas card. I've done it, so for the guys this year, I'm really going to town on getting them a box of chocolates, I'm getting some vouchers for some high street shops so that they can go and spend I'm making sure that their office staff, so that in the electrical wholesalers, I'm making sure that all members of staff there get looked after. My builder and his wife, we're making sure that they get looked after. The electrician and their partners, I'm making sure they get looked after. And I appreciate that 2020 hasn't been the most profitable year. However, it has shown us that we have got very loyal customers and employees and credit and trade accounts with really good people. And if I'm honest, the electrical wholesaler was just one of a few people. I had some glass that needed replacing. A lot of the places were closed. I went to an independent retailer. Again, I knew I had his mobile phone number and he cut the glass. So, within the space of that day, I had the builders pretty much operational. I had what I would consider my labour staff, so the people that go in and clear the rooms out, they were there, they were on site. It was pretty much like a full working day. We had to adhere to some social distancing measures, and so it wasn't all hands on deck. We had to make sure that certain people were in certain locations and they couldn't touch, they couldn't be within a certain proximity. But the fact is, we got the job done. And the fire officer says, he goes, Arsh, I don't know how you did it. He goes, because everywhere was shut. And he goes, you've got a really good a team around you in order to turn this around in what we would consider difficult circumstances. And goes, most landlords in your scenario now would have had to shut the building off and wait for the pandemic or wait for us to come out of lockdown. Now, if you look at it from that point of view, how much would that have cost me? It would have cost me thousands of pounds because the building would have been shut. There'd been no rent coming in from that building. But we had that building fully operational again within 48 hours. And this was just due down to the people that I had and I've employed for the last 20 years. I've looked after for the last 20 years, who then came back to look after me in my time of need. And this isn't the only time that they've come to my call, should I say. There's been certain scenarios where if there's something happening in the night, they'll be there. They can be there and they will say, Arsh, what do you want to do? Yeah, naturally, I'll pay them a little bit more for the antisocial hours. But the fact is, if there's something that needs to be done, I've got the confidence knowing that they will turn up and they'll do whatever is required to rectify it. So guys, just think about this. Who are the people who have supported you throughout your journey? And don't forget to write to them. So I know lots of people that I work with and I never hear a thing from around Christmas time, not even a Christmas card. And that's fine. You know what, to be fair, I don't mind, but I make sure that when I do business with people, that I make sure that around this time that they're not forgotten. And it goes a long way. So just to give you other examples as to how this extends out to, I'll give a quick shout out to YPN, which is Your Property Network magazine. If you haven't already done so, please go and subscribe to it. It's a phenomenal resource for property knowledge. There's a HMO magazine. There's lots of other places that I speak, lots of platforms that I speak on. The guys that helped me set up this podcast and all my team, I make sure that all these guys are all remembered and say, guys, thank you very much. And my message in all my Christmas cards, it's quite formulaic, but it's also quite personal. So thanks for all the help that you've helped me in 2020. Remember that we've done this and we've done that. A big shout out goes also out to my assistant Fran, and also the guys that we got out in the Philippines. So I've got lots of virtual assistants out in the Philippines who make things happen for me on a daily basis. So I myself cannot do everything, although I like to think I can. I can't, and I'm reliant on so many people. So I've got my assistant Fran, I've got my virtual assistants in the Philippines who do a phenomenal job. They all do a phenomenal job. I've got people in my office. I've got all the people around me. Again, the power team, what I would consider the solicitors that make sure that everything goes smoothly. I've got the accountants to make sure that everything's accounted for. I've got the builders and the maintenance team that make sure that everything's happening. And more importantly, the people that I have forgot to mention on here is your customers, your tenants. Don't forget them. Remember, these guys, without these guys, these are your lifeline. If they don't pay you rent, they don't live in your properties, how are you going to afford to run this business? So again, give them a card. if there's a HMO, give them some money for some drink or some food or whatever. So I've got 23-bed HMO. One thing that I tend to do, they all said that they didn't really want any food or drink, so I give them a reduction in their rent in December. That's just my way of saying thank you. It's not a massive reduction, it's within the region of 10%. So I do little things like this to incentivize people to say, well, Arsh is not just a person that thinks about his top line or his bottom line. He is a real person and he looks after us. And as a result of that, we keep a high level of retention. My caretaker in the 23-bed HMO, I'm sure I've mentioned him in previous podcasts, he's been with me now nearly 16 years. Would he have been with me for 16 years if I didn't look after him? Christmas, birthdays, Valentine's, all those kind of things, all the mini holidays that some people may consider as not so important. I make sure that we reward the people around us. And so this podcast may come across as a bit of waffle, but if you think about it and you think of the psychology, think about all the people that have helped you, regardless whether it's a tenant or a solicitor. Just reach out to them and say, whether it's a letter to them or an email to them. I'm going to send an email out to all my guys and just to say a quick thank you. It's been a difficult year, but we've got to the end of it and hopefully we can start 2020 in a better frame and go on to break the records that we thought we were going to set in 2020 into 2021. So guys, hopefully that hasn't come over as a bit of ramble and you've taken away something from that. As always, guys, if you like free content, please go to my YouTube channel, which is it's under the handle of Arsh, and we release a new video there every Thursday. So if you like the thought of that, please do so. If you haven't already done so, please feel free to connect with me on social media. So you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn and Twitter under the handles of Arsh. Finally, if you haven't already done so, have you downloaded the Property Investor app? It's the UK's first property investment platform which showcases all kinds of deals all across the UK. So below market value deals, rent-to-rent deals, lease option deals, service accommodation deals, commercial deals, just to name a few. If you can go to our website, which is propertyinvestораpp.co.uk, or you can download the app. If you've got a smartphone, just download the app. You can go to the App Store, type in Property Investor, and it's there in the palm of your hand. It takes 2 minutes to register, and all the deals will be there within, and it's completely free for you to view. So guys, on that note, remember, it is a really important week just for you to reach out to people as you start to wind down for the Christmas period. As always, I wish you and your families all to be safe, well and happy, and I look forward to speaking to you all soon. Thank you and bye-bye.
The large majority of people make a positive change if they take immediate action. So act now. Download the Property Investor app and join Arsh on his social media channels to excel your property journey.